All right, team, welcome back. I had a couple of people, specifically in the Dryfire program, talking about, hey man, like when I present my gun, my dot is in sometimes different parts of the window. Does that matter? And or I had one person, which is awesome. I love it when you guys send me questions. Say, hey man, I turned all the lights off, so I couldn't see any, like, and essentially I couldn't see my gun, and I presented my gun, and the dot wasn't there. Um, so essentially saying when I present my gun and I don't have any visual anything to kind of line up even the casing of the gun or the back of the gun or see my grip or whatever because it's so dark, like sometimes or most of the times for this person, I'm not seeing the dot. So what essentially he was saying, what happens if I am shooting or I'm in my house and I have no lights and I present my gun and I don't have my sights there, like how am I supposed to clean that up? Great question. So I think it's important to practice some of this stuff. The short answer is either you're moving your head or you're moving or your grip is not consistent. That's the hard truth, and it sucks to hear that, right? Because you're like, oh man, that means that my presentation is not good. Means my grip is not good. Yes, that's exactly what it means. Also, we can sort that stuff out in Dryfire so that you don't have to spend any money on ammo, and you're spending your resources and you're investing into yourself every time you draw. So, how do we do that? Do I need to turn the lights off? No, but you might want to draw with your eyes closed. Like, if I draw with my eyes closed and then I open my eyes and my dot isn't maybe in the window or it's like somewhere else in the window, so that meaning my gun is slightly off alignment. Your goal is to not move your head. Your goal is to move the gun with the grip pressure or whatever you need to do to find an appropriate alignment for the gun in your vision. So don't move your head, don't shrug, don't move your shoulders, don't move your elbows. Just present the gun, and then if it isn't quite correct, then you're going to figure out what part of your grip structure or strength changed during that presentation that didn't allow you to find the dot. So if you're not moving your head, you're not moving your shoulders, and your presentation is the same as it normally is, what changed in that presentation that didn't allow you to figure it out? So the way we're going to do it today, we're going to draw from me. I'm going to do it from appendix. It doesn't matter. You can draw from outside the waistband. Just close your eyes and present the gun. The dot should be in there. If it is not exactly in the center, because obviously maybe you didn't have a target you were looking at, you didn't have a whatever, the dot, your sights should be fairly aligned. Even if you don't have something that you're like necessarily aiming on, the gun alignment and body alignment should be the same. So when you bring the gun up to your normal eye line, something you've practiced a bunch of times, your sights should be fairly aligned. They may not be perfect, they should be fairly aligned. The dot should be somewhere in that window. If it's completely out of alignment with your irons, or the dot isn't in the window, something is up with the grip structure that isn't consistent. Something is happening, maybe the structure is right, like once you open your eyes you can look at it, or something is happening where maybe the support hand is not as tight as it should be, or the dominant hand is way too tight because you're a dominant hand, like you're a right-handed guy and you're crashing the gun with the right hand, like your dominant hand's doing too much work. Those are the solutions, you guys. There are no magic pills. Like there is no silver bullets. You got to put in the work, and this is one way to check over and over again. Once you can do this very well from like just closing your eyes. There's my dot right there. It was just a little bit like low in the window. Maybe I would say the lower third, but it was in the center on the lower third. It wasn't dead center. Who cares? So long as you can see an appropriate amount of sights and you can make any corrections, you'll be fine. What happens like tactically, what happens if I am in the dark in my house, whatever. I mean, if you're going to shoot iron sights, you probably have like glow in the dark, like, something, and you can probably align those little bugs and make it happen. If you have a dot, you got to make sure that you have an alignment that works. Like I need to be able to draw my gun and be able to do that. Also, what's the likelihood of you being in a place that's pitch black? You have no hand light, you have no gun light, there's absolutely zero ambient light. I mean, pretty outrageous to have zero ambient light where you can't line up the gun in any way. No case, you can't see the case, it's complete pitch black. If you're in those kind of scenarios, you live a very hard life, Also, you can train right out of that problem and have the gun arrive in front of your face very, very predictably, where you can start seeing something. For the iron sights, especially if you have the tritium in there, you're going to start seeing something as the gun comes up. That's probably your easiest thing to fix. On the dot, man, if you present and you have a really crappy grip, or you move all of the things, like if this is you drawing the gun and you can't find the dot, you got to sort that out. Because especially if you have no backup sights, you're not going to see a dot in your window. And you won't even know which way to go because you can't see anything if it's really that dark. That being said, there's a drill. Here's the drill that we're going to work on.